Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 177 at scavengerlife.com.
All right, so today we have Mikey and Wendy. These are the original Scavengers. We actually started the podcast with you guys, 2 years ago?
Oh my God, I think it's been 2 years.
Yeah. So we like to come back and talk to you every, it seems like every a year now, just to kind of touch base and see how you guys are doing with It's Your Scavenging. Welcome.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, guys.
We miss you. I wish we were seeing you not through the computer.
I know. Yeah, we do really we really do miss you guys talking every week about scavenging.
Oh, thanks. We still get to hear you because you have a show.
I know.
I'm surprised that you guys have time to hear us, but that's good,
Sure. Well, cooking, whatever. We usually listen to you when we're cooking, actually.
Oh, that's cute. I love that.
That's so cool. So, I follow you on your blog, and you guys are extremely busy people in a good way. And it seems like one of the things you guys are doing are taking these kind of quote-unquote, it's vacations, these paid vacations. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, last time we were on your show, we had been in the middle of our first trial of a paid vacation where we visited my parents for 2 months last summer to get out of the heat of New Mexico. We went up to Washington State, and that was our first time trying to be away and actively buy and sell from another location. So I was at my parents' house with Wendy, and we were going to yard sales every weekend and listing and shipping right from my parents' house, and it kind of just paid for our trip that summer.
Yeah, but we learned some things, too. Like, we made some mistakes. And now we're trying to refine that process because this summer we're going to try to be away for 5 or 6 months, and we're going to go to a different city every month and spend a month in each city.
I can, plant this so I understand it. So we also sell while we're gone, but we just kind of, extend our handling time and then ship when we come back. But are you guys opening up a different store, a traveling store?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have another account we open.
So we're not going to come home between these trips, right? We're going to go from Bend, Oregon to Montana, and just keep going. There won't be a return to home. So we have to actually shut down our main store, which is here, Mexico, the inventory, and then start up a new store that is exclusively for the road.
Awesome.
Wow, that is cool.
Now, how does that change the way you guys buy and sell? Is it auctions or just real cheap buy it now?
Last time we did auctions with Buy It Now, and that worked out pretty well. So we would do 7-day auctions with Buy It Now, and every week we just cut the price of the inventory by 25%. Because for us, we needed to liquidate. Like, when you're moving, you don't want the inventory coming back with you. It becomes too expensive to move it all over the place. So we were buying relatively small things and then just cutting the price very quickly on it so it would move.
Do you find you're getting about it's 60% of the value versus if you kept it at home and sat on it?
Yeah, that might be right. We're definitely taking less because you're not waiting for that top paying buyer. But we were also moving a lot more stuff. So in terms of monthly income or weekly income, it was really kind of comparable because you're just moving things so quickly.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the danger in this is you really have to buy things that are small.
Yep.
Last year we totally failed miserably at that, but we're doing it this year a little differently. We can't be lugging. We're traveling in a car, not even an RV or any, a van or anything. So we actually have to either liquidate before we leave a city or take what's left with us or ship it home. And we can ship it home, but the problem is, which is something that's still on the table to be solved, it'll be listed in the wrong store.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's just some of the stuff on the list of things to figure out and look for answers to.
See, I think this is really cool because you guys are pioneers because Ryan and I have talked about this, about wanting to go away for, really long periods of time. Yeah, 4 or 5 months at a time. But that's interesting to hear that it seems to work for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have to go and donate back a portion of what you purchased in a city as you're leaving that city, I still, as long as it made my income for me, I don't really mind if I wind up with 10 or 15% of my stuff being redonated to the thrift shop. I feel like it's still served its purpose.
Right. So you guys are going to leave in the summertime and be gone 4 or 5 months? And what kind of trip is it going to be? Like in the Southwest, or?
We're going to go all over. We have some areas we have been frequenting in the Southwest this year. So, like, we covered Durango and Flagstaff and Albuquerque and Santa Fe and Phoenix as, like, weekend trips just to keep refining this model. And those items we'd buy, we'd just be there for 2 days doing a buying trip, and then we'd drive home and list it in our normal store. But it really introduced us to, like, just getting used to traveling more frequently and doing more miles.
Well, and also quickly assessing a location. So it forced us, we'd have this weekend ahead of us, and that was it. And it forced us to come up with tools like using Zillow, the real estate app, to look at a city and hold up Zillow to the yard sale mapping app. And basically, they're both showing you a map of the same city. And in one, you see where the yard sales are, and in the other, you see where the most expensive homes are.
And who's trying to sell and move.
It's smart.
Yeah, and sometimes you can actually find the exact address of the sale that's listed and see what the house sold for. So that's a lot of data, and it helps us kind of geographically hone in on the highest value merchandise.
It can work against you too. You can get hung up with the super fancy neighborhood and be like, look, all the houses are worth $1 million to $5 million here. And, those neighborhoods don't have a lot of yard sales. So you can kind of work your way into a neighborhood that's so fancy. There's one yard sale and you just miss 200 sales nearby.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So you have to be careful too.
But anyway, so this summer, the cities we're planning to visit are Asheville, Ashland, Bend, Bozeman,
Fort Collins.
and Fort Collins.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so those are like all kind of mostly mountain towns, and they have cooler weather. It's a nice time to get out of the Southwest so we can sort of be in our opposite environment for the warmer months.
Right. And now that we're mountain running, our formula is basically, go to a foreign city, figure out the yard sale situation and thrift, run the mountains, find the best coffee shops, work on our laptops, and then go to another city.
That's great. I love that model.
Now, are you guys staying in Airbnb or camping or friends?
This is going to be Airbnb now. Because, month-long stays are just way too much for camping.
Yeah,
we don't have the job.
Yeah, we have a pet. And we have camped over the summer when we were doing all the Southwest areas. We camped and we've stayed at friends' houses. And we've stayed at hotels and such. But for a short-term weekend thing, it's great to do the camping hotel thing. But for a month, I don't really see any other options besides an Airbnb or VRBO or those newer style.
Right.
So just another tip I wanted to share on the geographic thing is we've also learned to go on eBay and look up a zip code and then put in like a word like vintage or something really generic and just see we'll go to Phoenix. What is the high dollar value items that sell and lots of them? What do they have a ton of that are worth something? And sure enough, a city will show itself. Recently we went to, I think it was Phoenix, and it was all tube amplifiers.
Yeah. That shows up on and watches, jewelry, purses. Those were some of the $2,000 to $5,000 items.
But it helps you get a glimpse of this is what I'm going to find here, so I should look for it.
That's really cool.
Now, about the Airbnb, have you guys actually stayed in one for long term, or will this be new to you?
No, it's new to us. We've been talking to people that have, and you can imagine it's kind of complicated to do a month-long rental because they're used to doing weekends and weeks. So there's some negotiation, and
they're like, "Why are you trying to book this now?" And I'm like, "Well, I know it's 6 months ahead, but if one person books a weekend in your house, I can't get them."
Exactly. Right.
You guys have done this, right?
Yeah. We've had that same problem too, where we went to Amsterdam and we tried to book 6 months ahead, and it was difficult because people they feel like they want to kind of hold out and see if they can do a bunch of weekends and single days because they think they'll get more. And it's tough.
We had someone cancel on us before.
So we actually had to break up a 4-week trip into 2 different places and stay in 2 different places in that month.
Yeah, that's good to know. We've been trying to be way ahead of the curve, and we'll see how that goes. But it has been awkward even talking to them because the Airbnbs don't have a lot of ways to collect money for monthly, and they might not list the price, and then you're negotiating with them. So it's just several emails back and forth with the property owner.
Right. And we've talked about it on the podcast about us staying at this thing Airbnb, but for people that don't know, this is just where you actually rent an apartment or a house from a person, and you just use a website to make that deal and pay through either PayPal or
a credit card or
a
whatever.
credit card or something. Now, how dependent are you on that weekly income? I mean, are you going with a savings, or is it like, if we don't pay this, we're fucked?
Right. No, I mean, we actually do have a nest egg for falling back on, but I would be really bummed if we had to use it. Like, that's like my savings, you know?
Right.
So my goal is to actually almost double our income from what we're doing now, because we're paying our mortgage back here in New Mexico and then adding rent.
Right.
So that'll be interesting to see if I could double my income on this business while having the limitations of only being able to buy small things and, having a limited inventory.
I think I know the answer to this. So you guys haven't considered renting your place while you're gone for 4 or 5 months?
It's probably the thing we talk about most, right?
Yeah. I think we're not ready to rent our place yet or do an Airbnb with it, but we would be willing at some point. Just not up for it right now. I feel like it would be really distracting having someone that's needy here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
I think it might be a 2016 thing for us.
Yeah, to do it later.
Yeah. I think the greatest benefit to the model is, the economic aspect with the IRS and how you do your taxes, because by way of the fact that you're dependent on travel for your business, you could say that, right? All your expenses are tax deductible. So if it's a hotel, an Airbnb, food on the road, fuel, these are all tax deductible as long as you have receipts showing you went to thrift shops or you log that you spent money at yard sales.
Yep, that is a great point.
Yeah, because you're working on the road, so.
Yeah, and the mileage, because it pays 55 cents a gallon as a deduction, that's massive. I mean, just, doing a few hundred or 1,000 miles, you're getting so much back, much more than your fuel costs and other things for us. So it's a really huge amount of deductions.
Right now, we're kind of obsessed with mountain towns with a population of around 60,000. And that's just based on that we like to run in the mountains. And, that we like that climate. And we're coming from a small town and we want to amp it up and have more stimulation.
Right.
Yeah.
We're also trying to fix some of the things we don't have where we are, which is to be near a university for that activity. Yeah, and ultimately, we're kind of eyeballing places that we might return to every summer. Like if we find one city we really like, we might just go back every summer for the whole 6 months,
And so, you've mentioned that going to towns where you can run. So that's something I wanted to talk about. I guess I'm calling them like deep hobbies. We talk about, selling stuff online has given us our time and to work on projects and stuff. But you guys have really gone pretty deep. And one thing you've done this past year is running.
We've been running now for a little over a year, almost 2 years for me and a year for Wendy. And we are ultra runners, so we're into distances greater than marathon. And we just recently signed up for a race where Wendy's going to do 31 miles and I'm going to do 62 miles.
Oh, my God.
and just to put it in perspective, I mean, we know you guys. I mean, Mikey, you were not a runner, as far as I know, when we were hanging out. It's with you. I mean, this is kind of new to you, right?
Yeah, this is new. I never enjoyed running.
Right.
And actually, a year and 2 months ago when I started running, I could not run a half a mile.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So we lost a lot of weight and changed through this process of doing this long-distance runs. And we've learned a lot about how to do them. But it's really just made us much more interested in being in nature for long periods, being a little more independent, able to filter water and carry our food and handle the elements.
And that's a logical growth from living a lifestyle of homesteaders. Mm-hmm. So, at first when we left New York City, it was like, wow, this homesteader lifestyle is like our connection to nature and we're using our hands and learning and isn't this amazing? It's like natural knowledge. But then as time moved on, the depth of that became backpacking. And it was like, well, let's go out in nature with just what's on our back and let's see if we can survive. And I feel like ultra running is just an extension of that, which is, well, can I just go out with like this tiny little backpack and run 25 miles and come back again,
Amazing.
So, that for us, it is logical, like we're growing in a particular direction.
But to tie it back into your show, Jay, it's more about, because we have eBay sales as part of our lifestyle, that we can go out and exercise for 12 hours a week. And it's not a big deal. Monday, after we pack up everything for USPS to pick up, I can take off on a 4-hour run, and it would be the middle of the workday for everyone else, right?
Yeah.
Right, it gives you that time.
I mean, I saw on the blog that either you're thinking about it or planning it, or you've already done it, or you're going to run around a mountain or close to your house, and that's 30 miles, right?
Yeah, he just did it a couple of times now.
Wow.
Yeah, I did it about 3 weeks ago, and then I did it again about 2 weeks ago just to find a shorter route. But it was, it took a lot of time to plan that, and I worked with some friends locally on mapping it and got better at the mapping software to, plan the routes carefully, and that was a lot of fun. And now, I feel like we've got good enough with some of the tools you need in terms of just finding your way around all these areas that aren't often used, that we can go to new towns, and that's one of the things we do. Just like we look at the yard sales and use Zillow to look at fancy neighborhoods, we also look at the trails and pre-map those out to see what trails are most used and which would be the most fun for us to run on.
So when you go and run for it takes you 6-8 hours or something to
yeah,
go like that?
to go around the mountain is almost 6 hours.
I mean, are you running like constantly
the whole time,
or you take a half-hour break? I mean,
it's not constant. If there's a steep hill or something, I'll walk up it. It just is too much energy to just go running up every big hill.
Right.
If it's a slow grade, just like a few percentile kind of grade, then I'll run up that. But I'll often stop to check a map if it's a new area. Like I'll look at my phone and look at the topographic map to see where I am if I made a wrong turn, which I did. Make a couple wrong turns going around that mountain. And I even stopped to filter water. So I carry like a little bag water filter that you can just sort of purify water on the go with and not get giardia. Wow. And I got to take a little time for that. So I pause the clock for those kind of activities, but I don't stop to rest, if that makes sense. Like I'm not actually just stopping only to rest. I'm on the hills or water or mapping.
And actually, with running like this, stopping it can kill you. Like once you stop, lactic acid drops into your muscles, your body goes into a different state, and restarting can be really hard. So you actually don't want to stop.
Right. Are there moments, are there times when you're on a long run like that where you're having to push through, where everything's telling you, I don't want to do this, but you keep doing it?
All the time?
Yeah, like the whole time, right?
Really? I would say not really.
No?
I don't usually have that where it's, we run with a lot of data collection and hardware on us. So like we have heart rate monitors and other things. So we kind of know if we're running too hard and you're kind of blowing up, your heart rate is so high that you just can't recover from it. So there are certain numbers we just stay within so that you can just coast this for a long time in aerobic mode, with oxygen and not push yourself too hard.
Yeah. So basically, to make that understandable, you look at your heart rate monitor on your watch, and for me, it's somewhere between 145 and 155 beats per minute. And if I stay in that zone, I can run a really long time. But if I go over 155 and I fail to notice it, I'll blow out, and my run is pretty much over. Right. So it's like if you know how to stay within the numbers, that helps the game a lot.
Yeah. So there's definitely a science to it. You're not just like, I just ran 60 miles yesterday and didn't even think about it. Like there's all these things.
Very specific kinds of nutrition.
Right.
You're really planning it. Even the diet that you're living on, day to day has a huge impact. So everything that goes in our mouth is really carefully chosen just for endurance running, pretty much.
I think it's cool just because it sounds like, very few people have enough free time to get that deep into any one thing. So that's really exciting for us to hear.
Yeah. Our eBay store has really
Seriously.
Grown and shrunk with us. That's the most amazing thing about it is we can amp it up or tone it down and make it fit whatever our lives are doing.
It's also too when we stopped doing the podcast, it's with you. I was always a little unsure if you guys were going to keep selling on eBay. I don't know. Part of me felt like maybe you guys were getting bored of it, or we're gonna, do other things,
But we keep an eye on your store. I mean, you guys have been selling like crazy and selling like amazing stuff.
And it's maintaining your inventory, and it's been good.
Well, so our store is in a really funny place right now, actually, because, we've talked about this with you guys before, but we still have some merch that was like the very first stuff we bought.
Yep, I do too.
Like crazy old ridiculous
Quite a
things.
bit.
Yeah.
And really like cheap things that aren't really, we just didn't know what we were doing yet. So just recently, Mikey's like, I'm going to put everything in the store, the whole store pretty much, except for things that have watchers, on 50%.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And we did. So it was like 800 items or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah, our whole store right now, except things that have the watchers, is 50% off. And things are selling like mad, but it's totally nuts to watch it because it's like, holy crap, everything is like $7. You're like, really? Am I wasting my time on $7? But the beautiful thing is, like, the room is clearing out, the storage room, like things are emptying, and I feel great about having the space to put higher end items, more things with more profit in them,
Yeah, and we sold a book this morning that we had just thrown away. And we're like, we got to get that out of the garbage.
Go to the garbage and get it.
I mean, can you tell that when you go out now that you're consistently finding better quality items?
Oh, yeah. In fact, what we see is we'll come back home and list stuff, and it all sells. All the new stuff sells.
It sells that week.
Wow.
Yeah, sells quickly. And I think we've not only got a better eye now from listening to your show and following other people on eBay and just knowing what's going to move, but we've stopped picking up anything that sells $20 or $30. Like those kind of items we won't even mess with. Because we have a feel for what's going to move from 50 to 100.
I like that we say that. And today, I think I listed a couple of things for $20.
Well, it happened. I mean, you're still going to get some too, but you thought maybe it was worth more.
Right.
I mean, I think it happened in the past several months when you guys sold those pilots' helmets. Those were amazing.
Yeah, talk about those a little bit.
Well, it was only one because there was the buyer didn't pay. It looks like multiple, but
okay.
What happened is I had put it up, and it sold like the first night for $500 to China, and the guy didn't pay. And so I had a few emails sent to him, no response. So it got relisted, and when I put it up, since it sold so fast, I just doubled the price. So we got almost, I don't know what we got for, almost 1,000 or 700 or something.
We do that a lot where if people start making inquiries about an item we just listed, we immediately double the price.
Yep. That's smart.
Just safe. Yeah.
And that was
just the right conversation.
And that was just some like pilot's helmet that was.
It was a yard sale in Albuquerque, and I paid $3.
It was a real like U.S. Air Force, and it's plenty of wear on it as well. But it was a real Navy helmet. You could tell it was like really well made, and it probably cost the Navy thousands of dollars to make a helmet like that.
And I think it was the wife of someone in the military, just having a yard sale. And I was like, I'm going to buy this for Halloween. And she was like, okay, $3.
And so, as far as purging, did you guys also have been dumping hats, or you got tired of selling hats?
Oh my God!
Yeah, we had so many.
Remember back in the day, we were talking to you guys about the trucker hat, with all the hipster like stuff and whatever, and the irony, the ironic like slogans.
Yep.
So back then, I must have listed. I mean, there's no shortage of trucker hats where we live, so I must have listed 150 hats.
Yep.
Which was a big deal, and we just sat on these, and I could not make them cheap enough. They just were not selling.
Like maybe 10 sold, and that's the end of it.
So anyway, we just recently took them all, delisted them. I filled a bag, and we have a neighbor who, just likes to attach things to his fence. So his fence has guitars and trophies and crazy ass shit.
We have a photo for you. You guys.
Yes, please.
Photo. So we leave the bag of hats in front of his fence, and the next day, with zero delay, every single hat was stapled to the fence.
All right. That's definitely like a Southwest thing. The kind of kooky hermit guy with the stuffed animals in his tree.
Oh God. Anyway, made me feel good.
That is great. It went to a good cause.
So it's Wendy. If you were asked to write a book, write a chapter for a book, and I was reading about this on your blog, and it was cool. It was called The Art of Unemployment, which sounds so perfect for a Wendy to write.
Yeah. Well, it kind of expounds on some of the themes of my book. You know, this compilation of articles for the book that I contributed to, which is, the book is called Maker Pro, Essays on Making a Living as a Maker. So, you know, the essence of it is that you're, you know, the people who wrote for this book are makers of things. They found a way to make things that led to employment of some kind for themselves. And in a way, my chapter is a little out of joint with that, because my chapter really boasts, as is in the title, the art of unemployment. So my making a living, or my achievement, is in not needing a job. And I've been exploring for a few years this concept that at some point having a job becomes expensive. And I believe that that's really remaining true for us. And again, eBay, you can call it a job, but I really call it a hobby that's profitable, I guess. Right. You know, it fluctuates with us. So, you know, the more things you can make for yourself, the less things you have to buy, essentially. And for that, just like running, right, you need time. So, you know, I go through some of those concepts and talk a lot about how eBay has been that flexible thing in our lives that allows us a lot of freedom to remain makers of things and just carve out an alternative lifestyle that's creative.
It's funny because I remember the first time we met you guys in, I think it was 2007, and you guys were just like, you guys should just quit your jobs. And then we did. And then we did.
Yep.
So funny. And I never heard anybody really say that before.
Yeah. I just wrote like something on our blog, actually. I just got really crazy thinking about actually this book when it arrived, and thinking about employment, and thinking about over the last few years how all the politicians were like, you know, everything's about getting a job. I promise 1,000 jobs for Iowa. And really, I think, you know, we're so confused, because what we want people to have is engagement, not employment, but engagement in the world. It's people, you know, there's this fear that people are dangerous when they're unemployed. They degenerate and they start causing problems and they start stealing things. But it's not true. When they're unemployed, they get busy and they start to do stuff to make their lives better. They grow food, they make something, you know, they have the time. Yeah. So really it's, you know, we should be afraid that we're not engaged. And I think really some of the solutions to the problems in our economy is the job. If everyone would just get rid of the damn job.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, we live in a very poor kind of a rural county where the unemployment's very high and the median income's very low. But honestly, because, you know, people in town talk about it, even if a big company came and offered jobs, most people wouldn't want those jobs, because honestly, a lot of people in our county have figured out how to kind of survive in their way, and they have for generations. They hunt. They have pieces of land.
They grow their own food.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like, as you say, a lot of people don't often want that 40-hour job where they're working all the time.
Yeah, and I think it's the same old game, you know, it's time or money, you got to pick.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we also get people that email us, you know, through Scavenger Life, where they, you know, they talk about, I mean, it's heartbreaking. They talk about having like $10 an hour jobs, and they're like, you know, I want to quit. Can I make enough on eBay to quit my job? And I always tell people, if you work as much doing eBay as if you do doing that $10 an hour job, you'll make so much more money, you know?
Oh my God. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, imagine doing 40 hours on eBay every week. I mean, we don't. Yeah. But if you did, you'd be insane. You'd be like
a millionaire.
Yeah, you'd be raking it in.
Yeah, I'd be willing to do 40-hour weeks sometimes, but
just to try it.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't have the merchandise. Like,
But now, guys, we have no backlisting. Everything's listed.
Really?
Oh, I'm so jealous.
It's been that way for months too. Just we can only pick up so much when we go to these towns for sales, and we don't do it every weekend. And we
actually, I'm looking at the floor. There's one item unlisted.
I got one chest that I didn't list.
Oh, well, that's good.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's good and bad, because that's the limits of our income, you know, are showing themselves. We like desperately have to go to Phoenix where the weather's warm and there's still yard sales.
Yeah. But we've gotten faster at listing. We have some new tricks now that really changed how we list.
So, do you want to talk about those? Like, because people are always trying to find
ways to list faster.
It's more efficient ways.
Sure. One of the things is we don't list from our computers anymore. We just use the eBay app on our iPad or iPhone and list directly. And there's a lot of benefits to doing that in terms of speed, in terms of sort of cloning an existing listing that someone else had that got top dollar. And eBay's got a great thing where it actually tells you the price range as you're listing, like with the low, the high, and what the mid is likely to be. So that can really speed up your time. You don't have to research another tab or anything.
So you'll like have an item and you'll do a search, find the sold item that's highest, and then just say, I'll sell, it's this exact item, and it keeps all their info?
The button says, sell one like this.
Wow.
Yeah, so you hit that, and then most of the fields are filled out for you. The categories, the weights, the shipping weights.
Oh, that's cool.
And does it keep all the stuff that the person had typed in?
No, so
the only thing that drops is the details.
The descriptions drop, and so sometimes I'll just pick up what the last person wrote. Other times I'll have to modify it a little because the item might be a slightly different model or something.
And the photos.
Wow.
In the photos, we'll use our own. But it really speeds up the process just having most of those fields filled out.
Huh.
And when eBay gives you the price, that changes everything because now there's no research. You know what the top dollar is, you know what the bottom is, and you can know where to set your buy it now limits and other things. So
you could actually list
best offer limits.
You could actually list it at the yard sale. You look it up to see like what is this worth.
Yeah.
You know, if you're willing to take a photo right on your phone and just send it right through.
You can sell it before you get home.
Right.
Yeah, I've definitely done a lot of listing in the car. So like on the long drives home, I've been listing things like that. So you could potentially have a weekend where you go out and buy a bunch of stuff, and then Sunday when you're driving home, you could be listing it all.
You know, we've been talking about that, how eBay will give you a suggested price. Have you gone and made sure that those prices are right? I mean, are they giving you honest?
Well, when you're looking for the item to sell, you're already looking at the highest one in their history, the top dollar one, right? Because you search for completed, sold, and looked at how much someone got for it. So you already have an idea what the high end is.
Right.
And then it's really up to you to decide if your item is better or worth more. So I actually will overprice items for the long term to be higher than what eBay says. But I'll put a best offer at, a best offer low so that I won't see offers below, like what the typical price that it sells at. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And are you still doing a pricing app, a TerraPeak, or you dropped that?
No, we stopped using TerraPeak because eBay is doing a good job. Oh, yeah, if you want. eBay's doing a good job of giving you a nice range to work in there. It was just too slow doing another app.
That's so interesting. I have not... I'm too picky about, just the way our listings look in my photos.
I think I think we've
nerdy.
kind of painted ourselves into a corner. We just love having that template. But yeah, it's very attractive hearing how quickly things can go up.
But I think, it serves you guys really well. You have an aesthetic, you actually get repeat customers, people who buy more than one item at a time. I mean, you're really presenting a store, and I think because we aren't willing to put as much into it, we're a little schlockier, and people don't have that experience with us, and therefore they don't remember our store or save it and come back.
But if people are buying from you, hey,
that's what counts.
That's all that matters. I mean,
really, if your item's good enough, someone's going to buy it.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, that's the thing about eBay. It's just a big old flea market. It's move it out.
Yeah.
So something else I wanted to kind of bring up with you guys to discuss is we have had a terrible time with eBay just searching our inventory. When you go to your active inventory and try to search, it just feels dead broken to me. Like I cannot search this many listings. I mean, it comes back, but it will come back with the wrong answer. Like I'll
search for boots, and it'll say I have none. I have 30 pairs listed.
On the phone or the computer?
On the computer, eBay's web app.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I have not had that experience. It's good that you're saying it, though, because I wonder if anyone else listening on the podcast has had that experience.
Right. Well, what we've had to do, because it's also very slow, something about how they're indexing is really slow, so we've just started searching using the advanced search on eBay, not within our store, but just for all of eBay, and then looking by zip code to find our stuff.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
that was much
sure.
more accurate. And because we're kind of an empty zip code with not many eBayers, it's It's mostly our stuff that comes back.
Yep. That's a smart way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we've always talked about how, eBay's so clunky. It's like 18 different websites built on the same thing. They're just really...
It really is.
Yeah.
Have you guys explored AliExpress or Alibaba?
No, the only thing that we've done is we've imported our store into Bonanza. And we've sold several things on Bonanza, but, not the volume that eBay has at all.
Like 15 things over 4 months. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our experience too. We sold like 5
We
over
did
3
it because
months.
of your recommendation.
Right.
Same thing, like 5 things over.
So isn't
The cool thing
Alibaba...
about Bonanza
Sorry, go.
is they didn't have some of the eBay policies. So like we sold like a $260 pair of Ray-Bans through Bonanza. And we're like, yay, we've had these forever. And no one wanted them. And then the lady wanted to return them. And we're like, no.
Yeah, you're just like, no returns. Sorry.
Not that there was anything wrong with them. She just didn't.
She was like, I my friend wanted this other model, and it would be great if I could return these. And I'm like, well, there's no return policy on Bonanza, so I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's like, how about a 75% discount?
What?
Nope.
Crazy.
Yep.
So have you guys explored, can you sell stuff on Alibaba? I thought it was just a wholesaler.
Well, it's the other way around. We would buy stuff from AliExpress, which sells individual quantities,
Right.
and then resell those on eBay because some of the stuff they sell is great, and it's really, it's like 5 times lower, 10 times lower.
Right.
It's kind of in our zone where the markup is possible.
Have you tried that, or you're just thinking
We
about it?
tried buying from them and had tremendous success. We got, for example, Patagonia puffy coats that were retailing for $400 for $60.
Wow.
Lululemon running clothes, $12 for a pair of running capris. Same ones that are selling on eBay for $99.
Wow.
So we've been thinking about buying like a half gross or a gross of some stuff.
So that's on Alibaba.
Well, Alibaba is a little more bulk. Like they usually want you to buy like the pallet or the shipping container full.
Right.
AliExpress is you can buy 1 to 10, 10
Ah.
and they'll give you some discounts for every like 10 you buy.
Yeah, I mean,
There are some
Interesting.
weird things, like they'll give you size small, medium, and large for a brand that actually has number sizes, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And if you click large, you don't know if you're going to get an 8 or a 12.
real quick, some people hearing this, because we have them, they sell on Amazon, and they would say, you guys are traveling so much, why don't you do that model instead, where you go buy a retail arbitrage or from Alibaba or wherever, and then send it in to like Amazon and just let them deal with all that stuff. Do Amazon FBA.
Yeah, arbitrage, basically.
Have you thought about that?
We've never tried FBA. We do sell on Amazon regularly as well, just because it's so fast to, if you pick up some ink cartridges at a yard sale, it's so fast to just quickly use the Amazon app to scan the barcode and list. I feel like there's a lot more eyes on Amazon for those kind of items. So that sort of stuff with Scott barcodes, I'll often just scan it and list and throw it right on Amazon.
I think AliExpress, my hesitation, and I'm just thinking aloud, is they can be slow in shipping, and I think there would be a real customer service thing there where you need to be communicative and keep people calm while they wait for things.
Well, you'd have to buy a bunch at once from AliExpress
Oh,
and,
right.
and then send them to Amazon for...
Oh, I see.
Right.
That's totally viable, I think.
That's amazing.
I think the one reason why we don't do it is just because I'm just like, it doesn't sound like it's any fun. It's like you're just buying.
Yeah, I hear you.
You're just
You're a
competing.
wholesaler.
We're looking at higher end stuff. We're not looking at like iPhone covers and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
we're looking at like $50 to $100 items.
Right.
And there's something else too. So they're not allowed to sell the brands. Like they're running the manufacturing plant illegally in the middle of the night, and they're running off extras of things they're buying. So they'll have a Patagonia coat, a North Face hat, but they have the logo blurred in the photo.
Oh my God.
And they can't use the name, so nowhere in the listing will it say Patagonia. But if you know the Patagonia coat that you're looking for, then you put in words like puffy down, lightweight, and you get all their listings, and you look for the visual image of the coat And then when you look at the photos, you can tell that the
Really?
That is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
I for some reason thought like Alibaba was supposed to be on the up and up. That's pretty,
Yeah, but this is kind of the way.
Wild West.
Yeah, it's wild for sure.
Yeah.
And they do a lot to try to track the sellers on AliExpress, where they send you updates when your stuff ships, and they do full tracking. Usually it's signature confirmation for arrival, and they want you to give feedback to the customers about the merchandise quality.
You're doing a good job with that.
Good. I mean, I guess, too, the only thing about that is that then you probably have to put up a pretty hefty upfront investment, spend a couple $1,000s on whatever coats.
Yeah, it seems the big return would be on the more expensive items, so you'd be putting quite a bit in, but it's
so another thing we're exploring, just in terms of new terrain, is buying jewelry on eBay to resell.
Ah, interesting.
Interesting. You
Yeah,
say that.
and this got my attention sort of accidentally. You know how sometimes you'll be just looking around eBay and you bump into something that looks funny, and you're like, this might be a very inexperienced seller.
Yes.
They don't know what they're doing, and then you go in their store and you're like, oh my God, I could just clear them out. So
absolutely.
I was having that experience with jewelry, seeing these stores that were doing starting at 99 cents auctions on jewelry that had a value in the hundreds and thousands of dollars.
What?
Yeah.
That's
and I was
insane.
like, how can that be? If I'm skillful at watching these listings, surely I will at some point be the one who wins this at a low bid. If I pick bids, listings that are expiring in the middle of the night on a Monday,
Right.
So I just started to play with it, and I picked up 3 items. One was diamond earrings, one was ruby earrings, the third were gold hoops, and all earrings. And I paid no more than $13 for any of them.
Wow. So now my question about this is, are you testing those to be real? Because that's an issue that I've seen where people don't know what they're selling, or they haven't tested it and it's not real gold or it's not real diamonds. How are you going about that?
Right. It's a good question. I have the ability to test metals, just the kits.
Yeah.
Really, I know a bit about jewelry, just from my own eye and sense. I have no doubt that they're real, actually. But the one thing I would say could use further verification if I was getting into diamonds that had any real value.
Right.
Not just little studs to make up an earring.
Yeah.
I think the things that I bought for $13 are still at best going to resell for $100.
Wow.
I didn't go big because I was just playing around to see what would happen.
If you're buying this stuff cheap enough, then you really can't go wrong.
I always, when I do this game, I always buy things that I wouldn't mind getting stuck with.
Right.
Right. Or that you'll make your money back no matter what.
Right.
Or that I just stuck with, meaning I would wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that's cool.
I think that's been the fun thing about all of us. I think the 4 of us have been doing this for a while now. Is that if you just start figuring out that there's so many different ways to find things and so many different ways to sell things. I mean, it's almost limitless. You can just go out into the world and there's just stuff everywhere. Either online or on your blog.
Just experiment.
Yeah, I feel like it's super creative. When I discovered that I can go into the bathrooms at estate sales and buy half-used bottles of perfume.
Yep.
I just couldn't believe it.
Yep, me too. I love it.
So, because you guys have now been doing this for a while, do your friends all know about it now? Has it become much more part of your identity, or is it still something that you kind of do quietly?
Yeah, most of our friends know, and our good friends are how was your winter season? They talk like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think most of our friends have even tried this to some degree, and most people just don't have the interest or the drive to just constantly go to yard sales and list crap. So there's not many people we can really talk about it with besides you in terms of on a deeper level of how to really get into it. But on that topic, though, I was curious with you guys in new eBay policies this year if you guys had some techniques to increase your numbers with eBay? Because I guess in March they'll start taking those a lot more seriously.
What, the defects or what?
Yeah, the defect ratings, shipping times, things like that. Like, are you worried at all about changes there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we always just say, like, we do the best we can, and if they give us whatever top rated's a seller, cool. If not, that's cool too. I mean, I think last year we weren't top rated sellers for like 6 months.
Long time, yeah.
It didn't matter, you know.
We still sold well.
I'm not so worried about the top rated seller as I'm more concerned with like possible suspension at some point.
Well, what does your defect rating look like? I mean, there are ways to go in and just really call eBay, and if stuff's unjustified, you feel like you could probably get some of that removed.
Yeah, I think what in the past was I was kind of sloppy with giving refunds and credits to people. Someone would have an issue with an item, and I'd give them like a partial refund, but now that's a defect with eBay. If you give them $1 credit back, all of a sudden that counts as a defect against you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or if someone buys an item and then decides they don't want it anymore, you have to be really careful about how you tell eBay to close that transaction, because a straight up cancel transaction is, again, a defect rating against you.
Yep.
Right.
It's complicated.
Right. It's got to be canceled because the buyer changed mind versus canceled because I didn't have it or because it's not as described.
Right. So, I mean, often now when someone buys an item and doesn't want to pay for whatever reason, I just don't do anything and let the automatic unpaid collector, what's that?
Unpaid item assistant.
Unpaid item assistant, it just opened against them and have the negative on their account as opposed to ours. If there's any sort of refund or credit, I'll credit them directly through PayPal as a new transaction, like not use the existing one, like never hit the refund button under PayPal for the existing transaction, just send them money as a new transaction, since eBay won't acknowledge that as any sort of defect.
Oh, that's interesting. And then you weren't ever worried because it's not then a documented refund that they can't come back and say, I didn't get a refund for that item.
Yeah, this is for smaller items. On a bigger item, you want to do a proper cancel transaction because then you can get your eBay fees back on it as well. But on a small thing, when it's just like, an $8 item that someone just wants to complain about, that's much easier to send them their $8 through PayPal as a new. Just send them money as a separate transaction, and then you won't have to worry about it.
Right.
Well, things like, eBay now has that hassle-free return policy. We were real worried about that, and we had talked to you about this, I was worried everyone was going to want to return stuff and blame us, and we'd have to pay all that. And it hasn't turned out that way. I mean, so far it's been good.
Hassle-free.
Yeah.
It's been hassle-free. I mean, we've had a couple of people be dumb about it, but the majority of people have been fine, and it's really easy.
So you guys take returns, but if you're really not worried about top-rated seller, you could turn that off as well, right?
No, you have to take 14-day returns to be at least 14-day returns to be top-rated.
Yeah.
But if you don't care about top-rated seller, you could.
Correct.
The problem is that we always say you always have to take a return on eBay. Like, they'll make you take a return.
If someone says, you didn't give me the item I wanted, you've got to take a return.
They'll make it, yeah.
We still get, it's like it's percent. So for every 100 things, 2 things get sent back. It's pretty consistent, so we just eat it,
I think we're about the same.
I'd say we're a little more, but we always know who's going to send it back before they even buy it. Because if someone just buys the item and there's no pre-question period, they're fine.
Right.
But as soon as they start sending 3 questions for the $6 radio,
if people ask us more than one question, we block them.
Yeah, I think that's probably good.
I'm I'm sorry, I'm not going to sell anything to you.
Yep.
I started banning people just based on their username.
I'm curious, you guys. I don't know if it's just us. We've always had a interest in living on minimal stuff and reducing our clutter and not having a lot of crap around. But I think having an eBay store, because it forces you to live with all that inventory, which is, to me, mental clutter, even though it's in a separate room in my house, just because I'm in this business, I think we've gotten even more streamlined, so few objects in our home, the very minimal. but they're good ones, because we go to yard sales.
Yep.
Right. Because I think part of it, too, is as a scavenger and as a seller, you're like, well, I'm not going to keep this because I can make $100 on it. So you, don't keep anything,
Yeah, things move through you.
Right.
I mean, yeah, we only have, it's 4 plates and 4 forks, we don't have a lot of stuff. We have, 2 pots, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? We try and keep it a minimum.
I feel like my view of stuff is so different now. I feel like I can have anything that I want, and I can get it easily without effort and without spending a lot of money, and I just, therefore, don't need to hold anything.
Right. Yeah, and I also feel like you can find stuff, and you're not as attached to it, and you're like, well, if we don't need this thing, we'll just sell it, and that has been true for so many things. In our house and in our rental house, we're like, it doesn't matter, just buy it, because if we don't use it, we'll sell it.
No, we just say the same thing, just buy it. If it's a mistake later, we'll just flip it.
Yep. Exactly.
And one of the things I wanted to talk about was, I guess, it's Mikey's store. The thing I've always found exciting, Mikey, is that you actually have a store where you build electronics and sell them, and I just wanted to know how that's been going.
Well, we actually had one really lousy month in our store.
And not because of us.
Yeah, what happened is, Google and Etsy and other sites are getting so strict about herbal remedies, tinctures, and other things. We were selling an herbal smoke just made of mullein and
common ingredients,
vanilla and whatever, just chamomile, I guess, and other things. And they took down all of our Google Shopping listings. So basically how people find us through Google Shopping. They took them all down, and I didn't notice.
Because the smoke to them suddenly became suspect.
Yeah, contraband.
But we didn't notice, and they did this 3 or 4 weeks before Christmas, all the way through till after Christmas.
Yeah. So we just had this trickle of sales, and usually that would have been a really big month for us. So
they took our yearly income away. That was the bulk of the year, and so by taking it down, it wasn't just the herbal smoke. It was the herbal smoke, all our tinctures, plus my book
and my kids,
and Mikey's gift. So it was wow, thanks Google.
Right.
So we have that stuff, but eBay is our most of our income for online sales.
Yeah. I mean, but I guess it's just neat because we've just finished that other house that we're going to start to rent out, and we're excited just to have another kind of stream of income. So it's just neat to have multiple things other than eBay to make some money off of.
Congratulations, that's a big one.
That was kind of our ultra marathon. For
no
us.
Kidding.
Are you guys renting that by the weekend and night through an Airbnb, VRBO kind of setup? Or is it
Airbnb?
Yeah, Airbnb.
So it's going to officially start April 1st, so we're still a couple months away.
Sweet.
Is that the busy time out there? Is that when people start coming out?
Yeah,
it's the winter time right now, so no one comes up here in the winter time.
Or very few people do.
Yeah, come.
So the opposite.
Yeah.
It's
I know
it's cold and rainy and snowy.
I love it though. It's my favorite time of year.
Now, is that going to affect you guys for how much you buy and list? Would that change how hard you're working if the rental's taking up, starts making a lot of money for you?
So it's not because we have some debt that we need to pay off. So until we get all that debt paid off, basically our mortgage. There's no reason for us to
There's no slowing down, really.
Yeah, and plus, we're still having a lot of fun, so.
It's amazing to me, 2 years into selling on eBay, how it never loses its thrill.
Yeah.
It's still totally fun, totally exciting. I still get completely off on, the find.
Yep.
And every time my phone goes cha-ching on the sale, I completely have the same reaction as the first week.
Yep, absolutely. That's what's so cool about it, is I'm thrilled to sell stuff every day.
When you guys go away for 4 to 6 months, have you ever thought about switching houses? It's with people, house trade?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird for us. You guys have a tough winter. We have a really hard summer.
Right.
So it's hard for us to try to trade our house in the summer because we're like, we just sent you to hell.
I question the mental stability of anyone who would want to be here in the summer.
Yeah.
And I think, you're probably crazy. I could never, you're going to wreck my house. Or the other thing that we face often is to make our house ready for someone and rentable, we have to put a little bit more into it. We have windows that don't work properly. There's just some base level expectations that have to be met. And
There's no shower.
There's no shower.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's
not
right.
exactly. We do all our bathing outside, and I would make that part of what the house is. But
Yeah.
But anyway, we have to do a little bit of investing, and it's not a lot, but I have to stop and take that time to fix a few things. So I think that's in my way a little bit.
And then, so the last thing is, so, you know, you guys are about to take this really long run. So that's in February, right? So that's in about a month. Mikey, you're going to do 62 miles, and Wendy, you're going to do 31. I mean, are you guys psyched? Are you scared?
We're both a little freaked out because neither one of us has run. You know, we both run a little over half that distance. You know.
Wow.
So when you race, you know, you always race to a number you've never done before, like that you have to find a way to do it, to do the race. So yeah, there's that element of like, oh my God, like I've only done half that distance and it nearly killed me. Like, where am I going to get this from? You know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, here I am training for this race, and I got injured, and like I couldn't run for the last 2 weeks, you know, and I'm just like, oh my God, like this is horrible. So there's so much that goes on. But I have to say, Mikey is really impressive, and you guys know him a little. He's so strategic. He so studies every aspect, from diet to what I'm wearing, what, you know, the weather conditions. Like, he foresees every possible problem and devises a way to meet it. That I actually think he's going to become a player in this, in ultra running. I think he's going to wind up in the ultra running magazine. Like, he has what it takes, both physically and mentally. I think he has more than what it takes. So it's going to be interesting.
I like that the like best results of this is like you could be in a magazine.
Yeah.
This is kind of a fun one for me though, because it's this is the first one where the pros are going to be there. Like, what happens is ultra running's recently got so popular, and it's hard to get enough permits for people to run in the mountains that the big races are all sold out. It's all lottery based, or you have to win some of the smaller races to even get invited to the big races. So this one we're going to, you know,
it's a qualifying race.
Half the people there are sponsored runners.
So, I mean, is that something that you're interested in as far as just doing this multiple times, or is this like a one-time challenge for yourself?
Oh, yeah, I would do multiple races. In fact, we kind of hope the eBay model and ultra running races lines up well, that we can go to cities and
race.
You know, estate sales Thursday, Friday yard sales, Saturday race, Sunday cleanup yard sales, and go home.
Well, we also have another goal, which is we want to, next year maybe, we want to just go to Europe and travel to different parts of the world with no luggage. Yeah. And just run from city to city, and then just dump all the clothes you ran in and go to the thrift shop and redress yourself.
They don't have thrift shops.
Yeah, whatever. But, you know, we want to just go with nothing and really see countries by running them. Huh. So that's like a future goal.
Wow.
I love that idea.
Yeah. We'll meet you in Amsterdam.
Yeah, we can be the people on the side of the road that have the orange slices in the water, you know. Cool.
So the short answer to that question, for me at least, is I'm terrified.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys have been it's putting time into it, so you can figure it out.
Yeah. Thanks to eBay.
Yeah, right, exactly. Cool. That's so cool.
All right, well, thanks, guys, for coming up on 2015. It sounds like you guys got...
Happy New Year, guys, and to all the listeners.
It's cool. So I guess we'll talk again in another year.
Yeah, we'll check in with you and see if you're on your way to Europe.
And 6 months.
Yeah.
And we'll link to your blog and other stuff on this posting so people can check out, kind of follow what you guys it's been up to.
Great.
Cool. Thank you for having us.
Yep. See you.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.